Jadon Porter is already a local legend here in Waco, and now he and the 2024 football recruiting class is out to prove a lot of people wrong. This is Locked On Baylor.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for joining along for another episode of Locked On Baylor. Merry Christmas to you. A Happy New Year upcoming for all you Baylor fans. Thank you for bearing with me through this holiday season. I am in the Great Smoky Mountains right now. Beautiful lodge, just absolutely beautiful setting. But all I could think about was talking to you guys about Baylor football's 2024 recruiting class, and specifically three-star wide receiver Jadon Porter. Now, for those of you who are around Waco, you will have already heard of Jadon Porter quite a bit. He actually is just graduating from Lorena, which is right next to Waco. If you're not familiar with the area too much, he won a state championship there as a sophomore in 2021. And right after winning that state championship, he said, I am going to Baylor. And he has stuck with that commitment ever since. He was a big play receiver, a burner, a guy who got banged up a little bit in his senior year, but his coach, Kevin Johnson, talked about the way he sacrificed for the team. We're going to talk a little bit about that in this interview coming up. But lo and behold, we did this on National Signing Day. This is one of the biggest signings in the class, Mr. Jadon Porter. Jadon, take it away. Talking with Jadon Porter here on Locked On Baylor and ESPN Central Texas. And Jadon, talking to you on signing day, you're putting pen to paper. How does it feel to officially be a Baylor Bear?
It feels good. I've been waiting for this moment a long time, and it's finally here. So all thanks to God.
Yeah. And you're obviously a local product, Lorena, which for those of you who don't know, aren't from the area, it's a suburb of Waco. It's right next door. And you committed after your sophomore year and have stuck with that commitment. Now, a lot has happened at Baylor in the last year and a half since you first made that commitment. So was there any doubt of looking anywhere else, or were you kind of steadfast in this Baylor decision?
Any person that wants to be a football player wants to win, And obviously the thought of my mind, I thought about going somewhere else, but it's more generally as, trusting the process, Baylor isn't like people that don't care about you. So that's really what is keeping me here, is they care for you. And, as a person, not just as a football player. And, the season, we didn't do so well, but that's why we're here, to change it all up. So, I've been here with them for 2 years now, and I'm just, ready to start it off and get it going.
For sure. And obviously a player of your talent, that those calls are going to come either way, no matter what record Baylor has, those calls are going to come to you. And you mentioned that coaching staff kind of caring for you as the person rather than just the player. We hear that all the time, the person over player, and we hear it from recruits all the time. So what I'm kind of wondering is how is that shown? How do they show that they care for Jadon Porter, the person first?
Just hitting my phone up all the time, checking in on me, making sure I'm doing good. The whole staff, they texting me for, I don't even know, at least 2 months. I say every other week, the whole staff would text me, ask how I'm doing. It's just a family thing. Like, you just feel the connection, and like it's really family tied to this, and not just go out here and play football.
Yeah, and when you first get interest from Baylor, now this is going back to your sophomore year here, what is that feeling like where, it's one of the first offers, it's your hometown team, essentially, it's right next door. Does that kind of set in that you're going to be playing major college football when you get that call from Baylor?
Oh, yeah. It's just being ready, not coming in there with, starting from the beginning, Going in there, I'm doing conditioning, training, I'm doing everything, getting ready to prepare for the college football atmosphere. I don't know. I just think that the more you prepare yourself, the more you be ready for what's going to happen. So I'm just excited that I have the opportunity to go play football at Baylor. So.
And growing up in Lorena, were you a Baylor fan at all? I know you're close to the program, but was this something you kind of envisioned for yourself as a kid?
Oh yeah, I've been a fan since I was little. I have like a little football picture. I had Baylor on. I had I had all the gear on. Baylor drip down since I was little. So, it's just a dream come true. But I also worked for this, so you know, job's not finished.
For sure. And I would love to have you take me into this process a little bit more. We mentioned it that no matter what Baylor did this year, you were going to get other phone calls. Being a 4-star guy, you're going to get the phone calls. And so what has this been like from the time you committed after your sophomore year till now in terms of just the circus? Is this getting phone calls and emails and letters every week or so, or what has this been like?
Just staying committed. The texts, the messages, the phone calls are gonna come your way. It's just if you want to stay committed or you want to have everything loose and open. I was just, I'm locked in with Baylor. I was locked in since sophomore year, so it's just finding what you want. Some people decommit right before the day of commitment, so it's just I like Baylor. I love it, and this is where I want to be. So it's just all the other places they'll text you, hit you up, but you know, it's about staying true to your town, your place. So
Awesome, awesome. And just one last point on that was you mentioned, a lot of people do they decommit and they flip somewhere else at the last minute. So was it even crazier this week? Did you get hit up a lot this week specifically?
yeah, I got a couple of text messages, but I wasn't paying no mind to them. I'm already locked in, so it's just having a strong heart. They can offer you a bunch of stuff, try to get you to come there, offer you this and that. It's whatever comes down to your heart and your mind. So, and that was Baylor for me.
And talking to Jadon Porter, 4-star Lorena wide receiver who is committing to Baylor. And Jadon, I got to watch you quite a bit throughout your high school career. But for those who haven't, kind of describe what your game is, what you are trying to be out there on the football field.
Just fast. Like I'm out there.
You got that
when you
covered,
watch,
man. You got that.
yeah. When you out there watching football, you just want to see like how fast people are. When you watch and you see somebody really fast out there, you're like, oh, you get your attention quick. So then we put everything else to it, the moves, the flashiness, the catches, everything. It just makes you a better player. So it's just going out there and putting a show on for everybody because that's what people want to come see, a show. They don't want to come there and see nothing going on. So.
Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into power, speed, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber. You are not burning cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, and exclusions do apply. Absolutely, absolutely. And when you watch college football games now, obviously knowing that you're headed to that next level pretty soon here, is there anything specifically in your game that you were looking to work at to kind of get to that college level and hit the ground running?
I would probably say just crisping my routes up. I got the speed, and speed is not hard to work on. I work on that a lot. So the more I work on the quick movements, the quick ladders, everything, that's going to build my speed up. I'm just more worried about getting off the route, separation, all that, to really build my character of a wide receiver.
Awesome, awesome. And tell me about you. You kind of mentioned this earlier, but tell me about your interactions with head coach Dave Aranda. I know you're mostly talking to position coaches and coordinators when you're being recruited, but obviously coming out for junior days and spring games and all that. What has your relationship been like with Coach Aranda?
It's awesome. It's no different than any other coaches. They feel all the same. It's not like he's he's higher up, but in my eyes, it's just the same as all the other coaches, and he shows that. He shows that he shows the same love, the same. I'm not bigger than you, this and that. He shows you that he's for you, and he's there to make you a better person. So, I mean, the connection between us has been real good. Nothing too crazy. Nothing like iffy. You can tell when somebody, a vibe from them. But I've got nothing but good vibes from him, and I love him as a coach. So
It's good. We love to hear that. We love to hear that. And thinking about just the new facilities and everything that's going up at Baylor, for you as a recruit who has seen a lot of this stuff develop in your time in Lorena, obviously McLean Stadium going up less than 10 years ago, and all the facilities that are getting built, some that are getting built still now. Does that show to you, a recruit? Does that show just a commitment to this football program from a university that can now rival with the facilities of some schools that are a lot bigger than them?
yep, yep. It just shows you how all things can change. Baylor didn't have all the flashy buildings, all the athletic training and working, all the new basketball, everything. They didn't have all that back then. So it's just getting progression over time, getting better. So it's all about having that patience with everything. That's all gonna come into place.
Yeah. And I'm always curious about you guys from the same recruiting class. Do you like keep in contact and with some of these guys who are also committed to Baylor? I know you got to play Adam Schobel, who's in the next class committed to Baylor in the playoffs. We won't talk about it from Columbus's standpoint, but you got to pick him off once. But knowing these other guys who have committed for this 2024 class, do you have a relationship with any of those guys?
Oh yeah, all of them. We got a whole group chat set up about
Okay.
all the 2020, 2024 commits. We got a group chat. We all talk. We've been talking here a lot lately because we're about to get there. So we're all just excited, seeing who we're rooming with, and just when we had a bad season this year, everybody was talking about it. We ain't have nobody wanted to decommit or any of that. We was just talking about changing it, making it better. And when we get here, it's not gonna be like this. So that's what I like to see. As in, if I know a lot of people that is gonna be on a winning team or wants to be on a winning team, and when they get on a losing team, they can't handle that, so they gotta go somewhere else. Maybe enter the transfer portal, decommit. But all the people commits in my group chat, we've been talking about making it better. So that's what I like to hear.
I like to hear that too, for sure. And I know you've stayed steadfast in your commitment. That, from what we talked about earlier, sounds like that was not going to be changed. But you talked about it there. I mean, some guys, when they see a 3-9 record, they want to go somewhere else. And with the transfer portal, what it is today in college football, you see a ton of that for players who are already on the team. So did that surprise you that this group that you're with in the 2024 class is talking about staying and making this all better? Did that surprise you at all?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's what really gives me insight. Like, man, we can be something. We can be something really great. We can go back and win a championship, Big 12 championship. So I just feel like we keep on working, trust the process. It's gonna happen.
For sure. And talking about your game specifically here, I know it was kind of an up and down senior year for you. You battled some injuries. You made some plays on defense in that playoff run that you and the Leopards had. So what did this season teach you in terms of having to rehab a little bit, get back to full strength, and really put in that work for what was a pretty darn good Lorena team this year?
I would say just having a different standpoint of being out there as a senior than like maybe a junior, a sophomore. It's a different role. Like everybody, a senior, as a senior, is a leader in their own way. You don't have to be named a leader to be a leader out there. So I learned that it's gonna be hard times, and you're gonna have to face adversity once like you're down in the game. Maybe you're down 2 touchdowns. Well, what are you gonna do? You gonna keep going, or are you gonna lay over and say, oh, maybe we don't got this, or say you got this and keep fighting. So it just really taught me a lot about just being a leader, and going into college life, college ball. It's just gonna be a lot different as me being. I can be one of those leaders, but also I'm not a higher classman. I don't have to do this and that. I can tell people, I can give them my insights of what I see. They can give me their insights. We're all grown here. So it's like, you help me, I help you. We trying to get to the same place. So
And talking,
go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I just seen that Lorena football did great for me. So I'm just ready to start the new journey.
Yeah, and talking with four-star recruit Jadon Porter, the freshly minted Baylor Bear, and not to get too much into high school football here, but I think this will be great for our Baylor listeners too. And that was just talking with your coach Kevin Johnson before this playoff run, and he was singing your praises in terms of those little things that you do that you were kind of just mentioning there. Even when you weren't at 100%, being a great decoy, being a great blocker, becoming a better route runner, and that helping other guys on the team. So do you think those are things that you will carry over with you to the college game, even though you might not be starter day one right away?
Oh yeah, it's a must. Little things like that can make a big change in the game. It could be, one block can change the whole game. You can win the whole game off of just one block. Just doing everything as a team is what is gonna make us be great. There's no individual around here, so I like to help my team. When my teammates do great, it makes me feel great because we did it together. It wasn't just him making a run without no blocks because it's almost impossible to have no blocks at that level and make a touchdown. So
Pretty tough.
it's
Yeah.
a
And last thing for me, we were talking about that whole recruiting class that's coming in for 2024, and you see the rankings. It's mostly a quantity thing. There's not a ton of guys that are on the signing board for Baylor, but you've mentioned the character that they have, and I think that could be a huge difference. So, what is something that you want to say to Baylor fans about you and your recruiting class coming in next year?
they're already ready to work. Uh, we've been texting each other right as we got there, right when we move in. We already getting to work. So, there's a big change coming. Uh, Baylor fans, we love y'all. We're gonna get right this season. So, you know, these next 4 seasons, all seasons, we're gonna make a change here. So I'm just glad we all together. I'm glad that I have a good class that I'm coming with, and I'm just ready to make something happen.
Well, Jadon, congratulations to you. I know this is a huge day that you've worked really hard for. So thankful that you got to spend some time with us. And we're certainly looking forward to seeing you on Saturdays at McLean. That is future all Big 12 wide receiver Jadon Porter signing with the Bears. Thank you for joining us here on Locked On Baylor and on ESPN Central Texas.
There, I appreciate.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks, the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. And now you guys know we've got bowl season going on. We've got all kinds of leagues. There's so much sports just right at your disposal right now. And with the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League. Okay. It was created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. So, for example, you can use, I don't know, Tyreek Hill plus Stephen Curry with a 10.5 combo of receptions plus 3-pointers. And you're keyed in on both those games and you're winning money. Oh, and you want to play alongside some of Prize Picks' favorite players like Meek Mill or Andrew Schultz, you can do that. You can find community plays under the promos tab in the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. And my favorite part, I have to address it every time, they offer a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So for football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. It's not just a Christmas gift. They're always doing it. Okay, so what you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and then use the code lockedoncollege for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and then use the code lockedoncollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Special thank you to Jadon Porter. What a guy. What a guy. I mean, I know there's a lot that's been made of this 2024 recruiting class. And look, I'm one of the people who are saying, hey, this isn't good enough. Look at the rankings. And you should always take rankings with a grain of salt, sure. But Baylor is low on they're lowest in the Big 12 for this 2024 class, according to most outlets. But it isn't necessarily so much the quantity as it is the quality. And Baylor didn't have a ton of signings in this class. And according to On3 and Rivals or whoever you're following, it does not have a great quality. But then I hear things like that from Jadon Porter. And maybe I do drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, but it's refreshing to hear. I mean, first off, that he is unwavered. He is stuck with his decision. He wants to succeed at Baylor. I think that's something that's really important. And one of the reasons why, and he mentioned it in there, was growing up being Baylor and growing up around here. And that's one thing that Dave Aranda has not done well, as we've talked about on this program before, is he just hasn't recruited Central Texas very well. There have been good recruits out there. He has just not gotten them. The example I've used both on this and on the radio is Micah Hudson, who was a 5-star receiver out of Lake Belton, 45 minutes from Baylor's campus. And he was the number 1 recruit in Texas Tech history. So you think, okay, 5-star, one of the top receivers in the country. He's not picking Baylor anyway, but he ends up picking Texas Tech. So that tells me that in terms of prestige, we should have had a seat at that table. Anyway, ship has sailed. This is not I don't even know what the interest was in Micah Hudson. I'm just using that as an example of guys that it doesn't seem like Dave Aranda has been able to sniff in the area. But Jadon Porter is one of the big victories he's had in this greater Waco area and in this Central Texas area. And I don't know that he's going to be a star tomorrow, but he's proven people wrong before. And he said as much in there. He knows this class is being doubted, and they have kind of taken it upon themselves. And he was very candid in there, which I really appreciated, in terms of, we know it's the Wild West now. I mean, the portal and all the collusion that goes on there, or whatever you want to call it, but the tampering, I guess, is the better way to put it, that trickles down into these high school recruits too. And we saw it. I'll say Voldemort, Austin Novosad, last year at the 11th hour gets swooped away by Oregon. He said, yeah, I've had other coaches call me. I had them this past week, when I signed. It was thick and fast. And he also said in there, sure, I thought about other places. Baylor goes 3-9. I don't care if you're a no-star or a 5-star. Like, you have to be reconsidering that, especially when it looks like the coach is on the chopping block, the coach that recruited you. But he said, yep, I did think about it, but, prayed on it a little bit, kept steadfast, and this was the place he wanted to be. And from what he said in there, it sounds like that's what all the other 2024 kids are thinking too. And I think that's probably the same case with the 2023 class, because all these guys are staying put, even after this really rough season. And with some of them who got some shine during the season, certainly got some attention from other coaches and other programs, they're sticking around too. So say what you want about Dave Aranda. This is kind of a message to me too. I get that. Say what you want about Dave Aranda and his recruiting. The minor victory here is that he has guys who we know have gotten attention from other schools, both recruits and guys that are on the team right now. We know this. And they are sticking around, and they want to play for him, and they want to play for this program. We only interviewed Jadon Porter, but from what he's saying, it sounds like that is the case for the other guys in this class as well. And you got to take the positives where you can right now. Recruiting can always be a crapshoot. Go ask Texas A&M. I mean, go ask Baylor for some of these years where they were in the 40s, the 50s, and they still had success. That's happened. That's happened very recently, as a matter of fact. So it's that commitment that I think is refreshing to hear. With so much uncertainty around this program, there is a commitment from the young guys and the guys coming in that they want to play for this team. They want to play for this coach. And look, I mean, this could all fall down like a house of cards on September 20th next year. It could. But for right now, you got to take the positives. And one of the reasons why the athletic department wanted to stick with Dave Aranda is because they knew there's a certain stability in here. And that's what we thought as fans. After the 21 season, certainly thought of it as a huge advantage in the new Big 12 for attracting players. And while they're coming off a really rough season and could be in for another one next year, depending on how this transfer portal class forms, at least there is a commitment and a will to be here. And there is some talent in this class. I don't want it to just be like, rah, rah, these guys are the underdogs. I mean, there's some talent here. I've seen Jadon Porter play a lot in high school. That kid's a player. He'll need to beef up a little bit, sure, but don't they all, And I've talked about Mason Dawson. I think he's a guy who can come in and play pretty early in his days at Baylor. And there are some dudes here. We saw Joseph Dodds in the state championship game for Tidehaven have some big runs, including a long touchdown. So there are some players here. This is not scraping the bottom of the barrel. It's really not. But sure, it was not as good as it should have been for a coach in year 4. You're going into year 5, and for a team that is still only 2 seasons removed from a Big 12 championship and a Sugar Bowl championship and a top 5 ranking. But I think very few of you, I know there are some of you, but very few of you can listen to that interview and be discouraged about Jadon Porter and the direction of this team and the players that are coming in to the locker room. It's up to the coaches now to develop them and put up or shut up in terms of this championship core that they think they have. And quite honestly, I think they might have. But it's time to start winning some football games. Anyway, we will be back in the coming days here. We're going to talk some basketball. We're going to talk Foster Pavilion. Can't wait for that next week. Ladies have a big game on Saturday, which is today, as you're listening to it, the day it drops, against the University of Texas. And the Longhorns are down some big pieces. So will the Lady Bears continue their undefeated march at the beginning of conference play? All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for making it your first listen today and every day. We will be back in the next couple days here talking basketball, talking 2024. But I want to know what you think about this recruiting class of 2024. What stuck out to you about our discussion with Jadon Porter? I was very impressed. Very impressive young man. Not that I would think otherwise. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we will be back later with Locked On Baylor.